Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's honestly become a huge, urgent topic in the modern software ecosystem: the business analyst's role in API testing. The digital landscape has completely transformed over the last few years. We aren't just building isolated applications anymore. Today, a mobile banking app talks to payment gateways, e-commerce platforms sync up with real-time inventory, and customer portals are just constantly querying back-end CRM systems. And the nervous system connecting all of these complex parts? APIs. And right in the middle of this web of connectivity, often trying to make sense of the chaos, sits the business analyst. Picture this scenario for a second. A massive new feature has just been deployed to a staging environment. The developer pushes back from their desk and confidently says, "The API is working perfectly." But then the dedicated QA tester chimes in, "Wait, I haven't even started my testing yet." The product owner, who's sweating looking at a looming deadline, asks, "Well, can we release it?" And suddenly the room goes dead quiet. Everyone looks directly at the business analyst. The BA calmly opens a tool like Postman, sends a request, takes a hard look at the response, and says, "Hold on, something doesn't look right here." Which brings us to the big central question of our explainer today. Should business analysts actually be testing APIs? Is this brilliant, proactive teamwork, or are they stepping directly onto the toes of the dedicated dev and QA teams? It's a massive debate happening in tech teams literally all over the world right now as digital transformation projects accelerate. To figure this all out, here's our roadmap. We'll start with the API testing debate, look at the case for BA testing, then the case against it, figure out how to find the middle ground, and finally wrap up with the essential skills BAs actually need. All right, let's jump right into part one, the API testing debates and context. To really get this, let's use a super simple analogy. Think of an API as a waiter in a restaurant. Step 1, you, the system, place an order. Step 2, the waiter, our API, takes your request back to the kitchen to get processed. And step 3, the waiter brings back your food, which is the response. Testing is just ensuring that the response is actually correct. If you ordered a salad, you definitely shouldn't get a steak. If a customer requests their account balance, the API needs to return the right numbers, follow the actual business rules, and handle any errors gracefully. Now, to communicate with these digital waiters, modern tech teams use a few specific tools every single day. You'll hear names like Postman, Swagger, Soap UI, or Insomnia. These tools let anyone on the team manually craft a request and read the data that comes back. But the real question is, should the BA be the one holding these tools? Which takes us to part 2, the case for BA tester. It turns out there's a massive gap between technical success and business success. Developers know exactly how the solution is built. QA knows how to break it. But the BA, they understand exactly why it was built. Let's say the requirement is that premium customers get a 15% discount. The API might successfully return a mathematical discount value, so the developer thinks, great, it works. But is it the correct 15%? Is it only applying to that premium tier? Are all the weird edge case business rules respected? The BA is the one who intimately knows the answers to those questions. And when BAs perform basic API validation early on, they catch these logic errors immediately. Just imagine finding out an API is returning the wrong customer status just 2 days after the code was written, versus discovering it 2 entire weeks later during formal user acceptance testing. That early catch is a total game changer. It saves a tremendous amount of time, saves the company a lot of money, and prevents those awful deployment delays. Having BAs involved also leads to vastly improved collaboration. A BA who understands APIs acts like a powerful translator for the whole team. Instead of just raising a flag and saying, "Hey, the integration is broken," they can look at the response and say, "Actually, the customer API is throwing a 400 error because a mandatory field is missing." That speeds up problem solving so much, and it's absolutely essential in today's really complex multi-system integration projects. But let's flip the coin here. Part 3, the case against BA testing. We have to ask the critical elephant in the room question. What about the dedicated QA team? Most organizations have professionals whose entire job is creating test cases, executing them, logging defects, and automating regression tests. If a BA steps in and takes ownership of API testing, who is truly accountable if a major defect slips through to production? Is it the BA who is just trying to help? The QA team who assumed the BA already had it covered? Ambiguous ownership is basically a recipe for disaster in software development. And besides blurring accountability, it creates a massive distraction. BAs already have incredibly demanding workloads. They're facilitating stakeholder workshops, gathering really complex requirements, analyzing overarching processes. Expecting them to also master HTTP methods and swim through JSON structures all day? That's setting great business-focused analysts up for failure. We run the risk of them becoming part-time testers rather than strategic analysts. So, how do we fix this? Let's move to part 4, finding the middle ground. How do successful teams actually resolve this tension? They use what we call the rule of 3 perspectives. Looking at this online banking example, it beautifully separates the concerns. The developer asks, did we build it correctly? Their whole perspective is ensuring the API returns the balance data. The QA asks, does it work correctly? They hammer it to ensure it handles both valid and invalid requests without crashing. And finally, the BA asks, does it actually solve the business problem? Their sole focus is ensuring the premium account rules and joint account visibility are perfectly respected. 3 totally different perspectives, and honestly, you need all of them. All right, bringing it home with part 5, essential skills for modern BAs. To operate in the sweet spot, the middle ground, you absolutely do not need to be a developer. But mastering these specific skills makes you incredibly valuable. You should be able to read and understand API documentation. You should know that a 200 HTTP status code means success, and a 404 means it's not found. You should be able to open a tool like Postman to run a basic validation request, read the JSON text that comes back, and verify your business rules. It's really all about being technically conversational, not technically exhaustive. So, what's the final verdict here? Yes, business analysts should absolutely validate business outcomes and rules using APIs. But no, they should not own formal test execution, regression testing, or defect management. Leave that to the QA team. By validating early, BAs ensure the solution delivers true business value, while letting QA ensure the technical robustness of the whole thing. Well, this brings us to the end of our explainer. I want you to look at your own team dynamics for a second. Does your organization expect business analysts to test APIs, or is it strictly locked down as QA's job? Finding that perfect balance could be the key to your next successful deployment. Take these frameworks, discuss them with your team, and define the boundaries that work best for your digital transformation journey. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.